So I've been enjoying starting the readings with books. I'm going to get a message from Plato Not Prozac by Lou Marinoff, PhD. For I have heard that he who knows well how to conserve life. Okay, so this is from Lao Tzu. I have heard that he who knows well how to conserve life when traveling on land does not meet the rhinoceros or the tiger. When going to battle, he is not attacked by arms and weapons. The rhinoceros can find nowhere to drive his horn. The tiger can find nowhere to put his claws. The weapons can find nowhere to thrust their blades. And this is because he knows well how to conserve life when traveling on land. Okay. He knows well how to conserve life when traveling on land. Let's see if we can get more information about what this is about. Difficult bosses. One of the work complaints I hear most frequently is about difficult bosses. I'm sure that pattern goes way back. And there were plenty of complaints about having to listen to a guy who couldn't find a deer if it walked up and introduced itself, or getting yelled at every time you missed a shot, and then again when you hit the target but didn't make a bullseye. If you're working under a boss you can't stand, one option is to find a different job. Of course, there's no guarantee your new boss will be better, and there's no guarantee you'd be able to keep working for the same boss if you did get one you liked. If the only flaw in your current situation is the person you report to, think carefully about all aspects of your work before you decide to move. A more adaptable choice would be to take a philosophical attitude about working with such a person that allows you to rise above the messiness. You may have to absorb unfairness, and developing your own inner resources will help you cultivate a thicker skin. Find someone else in your company or field to mentor you, to provide some positive input to balance working for a difficult person. Remember to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The answer may make the experience worthwhile. Difficult though it may be, this is probably the best way the Tao recommends. If you found that path, the Tao teaches that no one can hurt you. It's not just a question of being nice so that no one wants to stab you in the back. On the highest path, your back simply isn't available. Well, that's a lot. I might do another paragraph here just to figure. As we saw in chapter 6 on maintaining relationships, Hegel's theory about the master-slave relationship explains that slaves in fact hold some power over their masters. Masters are dependent on slaves emotionally as well as economically. In the earlier chapter, I used Hegel's ideas to advocate a balance of power in a romantic relationship to avoid the warped dynamic of master and slave. But a boss and subordinate are, by definition, in a hierarchical relationship, so a balance of power should not be your goal in a work setting, right? Because your boss is above you. Rather, in this context, Hegel's ideas should help you realize your own power in the situation. That may not fix it, but it should make you feel better. Just because your boss tells you that you aren't doing a good job doesn't mean you aren't, and you probably don't have to fear for your position. Your boss needs you. If nothing else, the pecking order requires someone to be pecked. Maybe your boss is yelling at you because her boss just yelled at her, so don't yell back. Don't take it personally. Don't go home and take it out on your dog. Do your work to the best of your ability and take the high road of letting the vicious cycle end with you. I mean, I don't know if I agree with this, but all I wanted to understand was this Lao Tzu quote and how they're using it in this context. So if you know how to conserve life when traveling on land, then when going to battle, you're not attacked by arms and weapons, and when traveling on land, you do not meet the rhinoceros or the tiger. Okay. It is kind of an internal equilibrium. You're maintaining your inner balance regardless of what's happening around you. Let's see how this applies to the reading. I mean, we have the Three of Cups underneath the deck. The Three of Cups is a lot of it's kind of about cleansing and healing. Celebration too. It could be about getting together with friends, celebrating, but I'm taking it that way. There's a new opportunity for you, a new kind of venture, a new idea, maybe even just a new approach to life, wanting to take more risks or try something new or explore something that you've never tried before. But with this comes a lot of confusion. It's like you're triggering unconscious responses, possibly in others. Could be in yourself. There's something unconscious happening as you shift into this energy of trying out new things and exploring and taking risks. There's a trigger with the moon. Unconscious fears, unconscious experiences, reactions, right? This is very reactionary. I don't know, why is the moon associated with Pisces in the tarot? I'm not sure. If anyone knows, please comment. I know that planetary-wise, the moon is Cancer, so I don't know why in tarot is associated with the moon. But it is like Neptune, I guess because it has to do with confusion and illusions and possibly getting lost, which is a very Neptunian quality, but I don't know why they chose the moon for that. Well, let's figure out what's going on here. Releasing anger from the past sets you free in the present. I dish out compliments sincerely and liberally. Whenever I compare myself to others, I simply say this prayer: the light in me, the light I see in them is a reflection of my inner light. I mean, human relations are coming up strong. Not necessarily with the Fool. I think the Fool is just kind of you taking action on your own ideas or on your own feelings. This could even be someone around you, but it triggers a response. It triggers a reaction. And this is an unconscious reaction. So this is something that the person's not even aware, like, I'm being triggered by this. I don't know why. It's just kind of happening. And therefore, maybe the response is quite strong in the moment. Let me just figure out, I think the three... I think that's the Empress, yeah. So we have the Empress on deck here with fullness of life. And the Empress is very creative. I mean, if you're talking about conserving life, I think that's a good card for it. Because the Empress is about birth, it's about creativity, it's about beautifying, it's about the earth, right? So that's why I'm thinking conserving life. It's about earth and nature. And our own inner nature as well. Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Strong, powerful forces at work here. Time to sit out and watch things unfold. Step back and find a safe space to observe. There will be time for actions later once things have settled. Immersion 28. So that would be a 10, which could be a 1. 1 would be leadership. 3 would be cooperation. Something between leadership, taking risks on your own, cooperation, considering how it affects other people, unconscious reactions that are happening around you, how it is you don't necessarily have to react when someone's reactive to you. When there's anger, you know, if you release it safely, it sets you free in the present. How do you release anger safely? You don't necessarily have to work through your anger with the person who made you angry if it's not a possibility to do that, right? And you would know, depending on your own situation, what that means. You can go to therapy. I mean, that's one way. People have hobbies that help them release anger, like drumming, or some kind of sport, or just going to the gym, or expressing yourself creatively. I mean, there's so many ways, right? Maybe just journaling about it, talking to a friend who's a safe kind of impartial person who won't be involved, right, in the drama. Because it's not about gossip. It's not about creating more drama. It's just about airing out your feelings so that you can let them go in a safe way. Dishing out compliments feels like such a different energy from releasing anger. And because we're talking about anger, and because of this whole paragraph I read from that book, and that section specifically from Lao Tzu, where it's talking about conserving life and possibly not reacting to things that are happening around you, and then you don't get attacked. There are so many triggers. So the way I thought about this for myself in my own life is kind of like you are inside of a spider web. And this spider web has all these links. It's linking different experiences from your life. It's linking different people. It links so much, so many things. If you want to remove yourself from the spider web, if you do it in a way that's too aggressive, you're going to upset some of those spiders. And some of those spiders might be, poisonous. So you don't want to kind of trigger a response from someone who has a really heavy karma. So how do you remove yourself from the spider web without upsetting or destroying this kind of habitat of the other spiders? And I think it does have to do with identification, kind of not taking things personally, not identifying with the experience. Understanding that this is someone else's journey, this is their issue. You don't want to be taken on a ride. I understand that. None of us do. But as long as you disidentify, you can kind of safely traverse a jungle with the rhinos and the tigers and whatever other dangerous animals are out there and not get affected. So whenever I compare myself to others, I simply say this prayer: the light I see in them is a reflection of my inner light. But I would take this further. When you are comparing yourself to others and you're seeing darkness in them, that may be a reflection of your inner shadow. That may be something unconscious with the moon that's being triggered, right? Let me just show that moon again. There's two animals here. There's a wolf and a dog. They're similar, but they're different, right? They're looking at each other a little bit hesitantly, a little bit suspiciously, kind of eyeing each other from across this, I don't even know if it's a body of water. It's not, but it's just a little path here. And they're eyeing each other from across. And they're not really wanting to engage, but they're engaged in a kind of test of who are you really, right? There's suspicion. There's a lack of trust. And so with this, there's an unconscious trigger. So you're needing to be mindful of that. There's order here with the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles can be things that we hold on to out of comfort, out of familiarity, out of feeling of security. There's a fear that if we let this thing go, whatever it may be, our sense of security, our sense of self that's associated with a specific experience, with how we project ourselves out into the world, if we let that go, our own very identity is going to be somehow threatened. But right underneath that, just hiding underneath it, is the Page of Wands with the word transformation underneath. So the Page of Wands is calling you to step out in a different way. Again, similar to the Fool. It's not really about taking risks, but it's about following your passions. Possibly just studying your passions or getting more familiar with them. Exploring the things that make you feel more alive. And I think somehow that's an antidote to holding on to things that have to do with an outdated identity that no longer serves any purpose in this world. It doesn't serve your connections with others, and it doesn't serve you in progress and in moving forward. Thanks for watching.